We just got one of these super popular, cheap diesel heaters.
In this video, we're gonna tear it apart and see exactly how it works.
Show you all the extra parts that come with it.
Then we're gonna fire this sucker up and see just how much heat comes out of it.
People use these to heat their sheds, workshops, campers, and in our case, a tent. They're very inexpensive, less than $200. But as you can probably guess, their parts and build quality are less than stellar. Modifying a Toyota for adventure travel? Looking for tips on camping, off-roading, or overlanding? Maybe we can help. This is the Vevor 5.0. We got it through Home Depot, so hopefully if we run into any issues, they'll take care of us.
We put an Amazon affiliate link to the same exact model in the video description below.
These are the parts that come with it. This is the exhaust pipe. This is the air intake for the combustion chamber. This is some sort of end for that air intake. This is the heating tube that expands and will go into our tent. Here is a muffler for the exhaust. Here's some wire to go to our power source. And a bag full of clamps and bolts and stuff. And we have no idea where they go.
We have never used one of these. In fact, I've never even had one in my hands before. So let's take it apart and see how it works. First thing we do is we take these clips off to get this red shroud off of here. Come on. And, whoops, well, cap has to come off the tank, obviously. And that is what it looks like inside. So obviously this is the fuel tank here, combustion chamber underneath. This I recognize is the fuel pump right here, and some fuel line, some plug. Oh, that's a fuse right there, an inline fuse. On this side here, this is where you hook the power up to, obviously. I think that this is where the fresh air comes in through the heat exchanger. We'll find out for sure in a little bit. Here's the control panel for it. You can take that off, although it doesn't go very far.
I was gonna say, why?
Yeah, why even have it where you can take it off? I don't know. And this is where obviously the hot air comes out. So yeah, let's get this tank off of here and see what else. I gotta get a screwdriver. So we'll take this clamp off here on the fuel line. And my first impression, this thing is made super cheap, ridiculously cheap. It only costs what, 130 bucks, 140 bucks. So, I mean, you get what you pay for.
Well, it's
yeah,
not super cheap, but it's cheap for a heater, right?
There's the outlet. That's metal, the outlet on the fuel tank. And then, how do we get the bottom off of here? This must, oh, that just comes up. This side too? Yeah,
oh.
Yeah. Here's a plug. We can undo this plug. There's a little thing you press, obviously, yeah. And then that should come apart. And then there's another plug on this side.
Are you taking video of this so we can put it?
Yeah, it's on. Pull this one out. Then what?
Because we're never going to remember this.
Huh? Yeah, we will. The fuel line is still going through there. All right. Oops. How do you get this thing off? All right, bolts on the bottom. There's 4 bolts going through the case that holds that heat exchanger on. I gotta get a socket. Get these off there. Well, those are surprisingly loose. Okay, then obviously we have to get the fuel line off of there. Come on. Then this should come up off of there. Should come up off of there. What's holding it?
You?
Oh, there we go. There we go. And that's that right there. You can buy all these components separately without a case for doing a custom install in a camper or whatnot. We chose to have it in the case because we wanted to use it right away.
And so we didn't have to take it apart?
Well, yeah, we did because we have the case. Don't worry, we're going to be able to remember how to put it back together. Probably. We don't need this anymore. Now this is the fuel pump, and this actually controls the amount of heat coming out of the heater. The more fuel, the hotter it is. This is where the power comes in from your power source. Here's that fuse that we found earlier. It's pretty simple actually, just the two plugs. This one goes off to your control panel thing. Hey, you know what? You could actually pull this out a little. If you got an extension for this, yeah, we'll look into that later.
Why?
One thing I'm noticing is this fuel line is really stiff. I don't know. We'll try, see how it works. I think we could do better though. So this actually looks pretty simple, what we have here. So let's get it out of the way. And bring back the heat exchanger. And let's see how this works. So obviously, this comes apart somehow. Let's get this off of there. Oh, that's actually, this is what was holding it together. Whoop. Why, it's only 130 bucks. Okay, here's a fan on this end. Will this come out of here? Let's take this off here. Okay. Now what's holding it? Oh, here we go. All right, well, apparently we don't need that. So it looks like a little two-stroke or even four-stroke engine with all these fins on it. Now with these heaters, the combustion gas, the air going through it is totally separate from the air going out and into your camper or your tent. It's totally different, totally separate from each other. This is the fuel coming in, and it goes into the combustion chamber. I think that this is the air that combustion chamber needs to fire off. So that comes in here, and then it burns obviously and gets all this hot. And then the exhaust from that diesel burning comes out, I believe this one. Makes sense, right?
Right, but where does the air come from that's going into the tent?
That comes from this end. So here, and this is a fan that your power supply is going to be spinning, and that's going to force the air through it along here and along all these fins that are super hot from that diesel burning inside. And then it comes out, let's see, then it would come out this end and through a tube to your tent. Huh.
So the air comes through here and goes out. That's why it has nothing to do with the gas.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the diesel burning inside. That's a totally different air system altogether.
Okay, got it.
And here's the electronics for it on this panel. what is this thing right here? Huh, it comes out. I gotta get a screwdriver. Or, no, I gotta get a pair of pliers. Be right back.
Just because it comes out doesn't necessarily mean that we want it out.
Yes, we do. Here. Let's take that apart. Because I don't know if that's what that is. And inquiring minds want to know. Oh, well, that doesn't actually go into the combustion chamber at all. That has to be the temperature sensor.
Huh. So this bracket just holds it in?
Yeah, it just holds it. Well, it just holds it up against the combustion chamber here. It doesn't actually go into the chamber. You remember how this went in? I think it goes like this. Wait, is that right? Yeah, has to be. No, that's not it. All right, we gotta replay the footage and see how I got that out of there. Okay, I got it figured out. Yep, that's right, and then that just holds it down with that. And this goes back in the hole. Goes back in the hole. Goes back in the hole.
There you go.
Wait, no. No, it'll work. Come on.
So once he's done with this, we will have no temperature control whatsoever.
It'll work. It'll work. Okay. It's back in. This thing, this must be the glow plug that fires, that starts the diesel on fire, you think? I don't know.
Soft like a little doll's head.
Yeah. I don't want to take that out because I'm afraid I won't be able to get that back in there. But yeah, that's what that is. We're going to go with that. And I don't want to take the burner off the combustion chamber because there's a gasket here, it looks like, and I don't want to mess up that gasket and have to get a new one because I want to fire this thing up today. So yeah, there it is. Ta-da! And now we can put it back in the case. It's in there. All that comes out the bottom. All right, now we can start putting it all the way back together. Here's that rubber thing.
Is it a gasket?
Sure. That goes on. Then the cover will go on. This end, it looks like slide. Yep, that slides underneath. This comes together down here somehow. Does it? Does it go behind it? No. It goes like this. There. And then you take that inlet, screw it on there, and that holds the two pieces of plastic together. And then this is all sealed.
Handy.
Handy. All right. Oh, right? Yeah, it has to.
Do you want my help?
Sure. There we go. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I am really anxious to get this thing fired up. So I'll go get everything ready outside and you go ahead and put it back together.
I guess I should have paid closer attention. Well, I think I got it back together, right? We'll find out.
Okay, getting this thing ready to get fired up, I see a pretty substantial problem. This is the exhaust, and it goes on right here. You push it up on there. But as you can see, it doesn't turn a 90 sharp enough, and it's not, it won't sit on the ground. So, and I don't think I can even, maybe I can cut that tube down a little bit and bring it up a tad bit, but it's still going to be right on the ground. The combustion air intake, it looks like it's going to work because the tube is really flexible. So yeah, that would work. You put that thing on there so I suppose mice don't get up in there. That'll work, but this exhaust is not making a sharp enough turn. And I really don't like the fact that it would be laying right on the ground. I'm sure this thing gets pretty hot. Okay, I think I came up with a pretty decent solution to it, and that is screwing some 2x4 legs on the thing. And now, as you can see, it's up off the ground about an inch or so. I did cut the tube down a little bit underneath here so it goes up a little bit more. I think it's up enough now where it won't catch the grass on fire. And as you can see, I've got the air intake for the combustion chamber plumbed in at the bottom. That's got a hose that's pretty flexible, so it makes that 90-degree bend easy. Got this fancy muffler dealy on it. It's very wobbly like this. They do send you brackets to hook on here to hook onto something so it's not moving around, but for now, we're gonna let it dangle like that. This is our hot air outtake to go to the tent. This is the yeah, and this is the clamps and the hose that they give you. It doesn't work very well, and it doesn't, yeah, this really sucks. But we're gonna use it for now for our test, and we're gonna take this outside and see just how much hot air and how hot it is coming out of here.
We need a power source for the ignition and the 2 fans. We're gonna use this. It's a new lithium power pack from Blackfire Outdoor Gear, a subsidiary of Klein Tools. This is the bomb. You'll be seeing a lot more of this in upcoming videos. We put a link to it down below, along with a discount code for 10% off.
Turns out this is taking 2 days to do. You'll find out why real quick. We found out that our particular heater takes up to 14 amps to initially fire it up. And these 12-volt outlets on power units like this will only allow 10 amps. Luckily, our unit here has a built-in safety, and it shut it down before any internal damage was done. So we had to wait for our friends at Amazon to deliver this. It's an adapter that we can plug into the 110 outlet and then plug the heater into this. I know that sounds silly to go from a 12-volt DC, then bring it up to 110 AC, and then with this, bring it back down to 12-volt, but that's what we're gonna have to work with to finish this up.
Now obviously we could use our dual battery system on the 4Runner to power this, but we just like the convenience of the power pack.
Before we can fire this up, we have to prime the fuel pump. To do that, on ours, we press the up and the down buttons simultaneously, and the pump will go click, 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 and you can see it with the cover off, the fuel actually going through the line and up into the bottom, into the combustion chamber. That has to be done first. And we already did it, so we're ready to take this outside and get some heat cranking out of this. Hold the button in for 2 seconds. Now we have it set at its lowest heating setting right now. And a fan kicked in. Now we have a little temperature sensor that we put at the outlet of the outlet hose, and there's a little bit of air coming through here. Not much, but it should start doing something pretty soon, I hope. Can you hear that? That's the fuel pump. It kicked in. So now it's pumping fuel into the combustion chamber down there. And I think I hear it ignited. Okay, a little heat and smoke coming out of here, and the pump actually increased a little bit in speed. There, it's getting a little faster now. No heat yet. Ooh, now it's going real fast, the pump is. Not really. There's a little bit of heat, but not much. That's definitely burning. The combustion chamber is definitely on fire. That's getting hot. The pump just got a little faster even. And those fans are spinning a lot faster now too. Now the pump is really going fast. Yeah, it's fired up. It's really hot now. And there is some heat coming out. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes since we fired it up. It's about 38 degrees out right now, and our little thermometer is showing 75 degrees already. It's 75 degree air is coming out of here already. That's pretty awesome. Okay, we're about 3, maybe 4 minutes in. The pump actually just started to pump a little slower, and our temperature is up to 100 degrees. Yeah, now the pump is going real slow. And like I say, we're about 4 minutes in since we first started it up. All right, we're about 5 minutes, 6 minutes in, and the fuel pump is going nice and slow now. The temperature is up to 120 degrees. We're at about 10 minutes in, and the temperature is now 143 degrees, and this is on the lowest setting. And it's still climbing. Okay, we went a few more minutes, and we're still climbing. It's starting to slow down climbing. The temps, it's up to 152 now. I am going to turn it up on high and just see how hot this thing can get. The tempo of the fuel pump has increased quite a bit since I turned it on high. It's pumping more fuel in there. And you can see there's no smoke coming out of the exhaust at all. It's burning really clean. All right, we're about 17, 18 minutes since we first started this up. Now that it's on high, we're at 174 degrees and still climbing, 175. Okay, it's a few minutes later and we're up to 178, and it's pretty much leveling off at that. So now we're gonna shut it down. To do that, you hold in the power button for 2 seconds. It says off on here. Now when you turn it off, you don't want to turn it off by just unplugging it from the power source. It has to stay plugged in because that fan has to run for a little while to cool off all those fins on that combustion chamber. If you don't do that, then it would likely get too hot in there and it might melt that plastic housing that it's in. I don't know, but I think it will. It took about 10 minutes, 12 minutes for it to completely cool down, so the fan would shut off completely and we could bring it back inside. Now we're going to give you our honest opinion on this and what we have planned for it.
The pump is a little loud. We have some ideas on how to fix that.
Yeah, the way it is right now, it might be a little annoying when we're trying to fall asleep. It's a little, that click, 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 click. Is it annoying yet? It is to me.
It definitely needs a fuel filter.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that it's just taking raw fuel and all the dirt and crap that gets in there when you're fueling up, and it runs that down through that that tiny diameter line and into the combustion chamber. Fuel filters are really cheap, so I think that we'd benefit by putting one on here. The case, it's convenient the way it is right now, but it's weak. I mean, it's not put together very well. It could fall apart really easily. And another thing is, for transporting this, we're going to want to put it up on a roof rack. So in this configuration, standing up like this, I don't like it this high. I want it down low. So we're going to look into what a lot of people do is they'll get one of those like a Pelican case or a toolbox case and put all the components into it and make a nice waterproof case for it, and it's nice and low. I think we'll look into doing that.
Good idea.
Thank you.
The instructions that come with it suck.
They do. It's all broken English and it's really hard to follow. But we did find a Facebook group. I can't remember the name of it. Just search for the
Chinese heaters.
Cheap Chinese diesel heaters or something like that. And they were very helpful with giving us some advice on this. In this case, it's a little top heavy with all the fuel up at the top here, so it's a little unstable. Without the 2x4s that we screwed onto the legs, it would be really unstable and it would be hard to put on the ground and not worry about it tipping over at some point in the middle of the night.
We need to sort out how we're going to power it.
Yeah, like Mary said earlier, we did actually try this out on the 4Runner, the dual battery system we have there. We just plugged it into the 12-volt outlet we have in the back, and it worked fine. It fired it up just fine at that initial point where it takes a lot of amperage. I don't like, since it's drawing that much amperage, none of these 12-volt cigarette type plugs are rated for more than 10 amps. So I think what we'll do in the back of the 4Runner anyways is run it off of run an Anderson plug off of our fuse panel behind our switch panel, and yeah, that would be a much more stable. We can run more amps through an Anderson plug than through the cigarette plug.
But again, I don't want a long extension cord all the way to our campsite.
Me either.
So.
That way, if we run it off of the 4Runner, we would have to have our tent pretty darn close to it, because I don't like long cords, because that draws a bunch of amps too. So the best is to use one of these portable units. So we have to figure out what we can do there. I don't know if the system that you just saw us using, going through a 110 outlet and bringing it down to 12 volt, I don't think that's the most power efficient way of doing it. So,
but it's handy.
It is handy, yeah, and it worked fine. We'll have to see.
We're going to do a real life test to see just how well it heats the tent in freezing temps.
And we'll be seeing just how much fuel and power this thing uses during a 12-hour period.
But that's going to have to wait until a future episode.
Yeah, coming up soon. So be sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to be notified when that video comes out, or any other videos. Oh, and look us up on Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks for watching.
How much fuel you put into it determines how the